Good morning. Welcome back to the Homemade Haven. This morning we are sitting somewhere around 30 degrees Fahrenheit, which I know for some of you and the rest of the world think that's probably not all that cold, but for us here in eastern North Carolina, it is a cold morning and it's not a normal operating morning for us here on the farm. So I thought I'd take you guys along and show you guys how we deal with the freezing cold temperatures here on the farm. And also we have something really exciting starting today that we can't wait to share with you guys. So kick back and enjoy. So just like every other morning, I start at the side-by-side and I go ahead and make sure that all of my feed buckets are topped off. I have all of the feed and hay that I need for all of our animals. Those all look pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab our water jugs. These are to wet our pigs' food and also to top off our rabbits' waterers, which this morning are probably frozen, so I'll show you what I do about that. Here on the side-by-side, I keep, this time of year, I keep extra rabbit waterers here inside the side-by-side, and they just keep the water that was already in them from before. I do this because these waters freeze up so quick and easy because they're just so small, they're not insulated, and the way that they sit on the rabbit hutches, they turn into a block of ice very quickly. So I have an extra waterer for all of our hutches, which is 5 or 6, and I just swap them out in the mornings when they're frozen and top these off. Whew, that was a cold ride out here. So now we're at the piggy area. Say good morning, Tiny. They're a little bit underwater because we had a lot of rain yesterday, so his pig pen is a mess because he has dug out craters all here at the front.
Your bowl is frozen.
So because Tiny likes to ruin all the things that are inside of his pen, like his barrel feeder here, we have had to just use these rubber bowls, which is fine, but I just swap them out every feeding. So after I put one bowl in, I grab the other bowl out. This one is nice and easy to get to this morning. Typically he takes them all the way back in the woods, which is a lot of fun to go back there and find the bowl, especially when it's wet and mucky like this, but no big deal. So for the pig waters, typically when it's only 30 degrees, they don't freeze up, but I do go ahead and give them a good shake to make sure that if there's any ice in there, it breaks up. Then I check the nipple on the front and make sure that it's not frozen up. And if it were to be frozen up, I would just pour some warm water on it to help melt the ice and let the water flow freely. But thankfully we don't deal with that too much unless it's like super cold during the day, like freezing during the day, and then like low 20s at night, which thankfully we don't see that very often, but it does happen sometimes. For those of you who were wondering if Judy was pregnant, here we are 2 weeks after her due date and no babies. So I guess she wasn't pregnant. We're gonna have to try again, aren't we, Judy? We're gonna have to try again. So the next time she's due to go into heat is right around Christmas weekend. So I guess we'll try again then. She doesn't typically drink out of hers too much during the night, like what Tiny does. But it looks like hers is good too. So this batch of meat birds that are staying in this tractor here, because of the tarping that we have, I put an extra tarp along the bottom to help hold in some heat too where they roost at. Their water typically stays unfrozen It does get like a little bit of a layer of ice around the rim, so I just kind of pull that ice rim out in the morning, and their water is good to go, typically. This group is actually due to go to the freezer next week. So the week before Christmas, I'll be putting some chickens in the freezer. While we're over on this side, I actually need to go ahead and pull up this long water hose and get it out of the way, because the big surprise is that our metal building is supposed to start going up today. So we're so excited. We've been waiting for months. The foundation was poured a couple months ago, and then there was some back and forth between like contracting and loan process, and anywho, we are finally on the schedule, and they're supposed to be out this morning bringing all of the supplies and I guess getting started. So we're super excited. This is going to be the future home of our 30 by 40 metal shop building with lean-tos on the side and the back to house some animals and hay and tractor implements and all the things. Get it out of our garage and get things more organized, kept safe from the elements. So we're super excited about that. So I'll give you guys a sneak peek of that once they get here and get started, but we'll do like a full tour video once it's up and put together. It's gonna be really cool. We're gonna have a full functioning bathroom in there, and all kinds of things, so that when we have company over, we can do like family get-togethers out there when the weather's nice and that kind of thing. Make sure you guys check back for updates on that. But for now, I have to pull this extra long water hose out of the way. This is the water hose that we hook up here at the house and drag out. I think there's like 250 feet of water hose that's hooked together to get to the pig area to give them some water. We are planning on actually digging some water line trenches. Oh my goodness, this hair. We are planning on digging some water lines under the ground once the shop is in place and we know where all the water lines are going to go across the property. So I'm stoked about that, to not have to move water hoses every time we want to mow the grass, and also not to have to worry about moving nozzles and hoses back and forth and dragging, and it's just a lot of work. So it'll be great to have water line hookups at each animal pen, and also to the shop and to the garden and all of that. So we're excited about all of that coming into fruition. But this extra long hose is in the way of this shop over there, so I need to move it so that these big work trucks, when they come through, they're not driving all over it and damaging the connections and busting the hose that we have, because water hose is really expensive. I don't know if you've bought any lately, but especially when you have 250 feet, that's a lot of hose, and that's a lot of money. Now that that's settled, let's go over here and check on our baby rabbits. Get our loud geese and chickens out.
Good morning, Goose. Morning.
Frozen. So typically their water does get frozen around the rim as well. The geese staying in here at night will usually keep that ice layer kind of broken, so it's a little bit slushy in the morning when I make it out here. And I typically just kind of pour some of this fresh water on top to help loosen things up a little bit. If it is like super frigid frozen, like I was talking about, I will just bring out a bowl and replace this whole thing until it thaws out and we can kind of swap back and forth. So if it were to be a really frigid night, like down in the 20s, I would come and close 1 or 2 of these windows on our chicken coop to help with that draft coming through so that our chickens don't get too cold and get frostbite on their combs or wattles. But it was not quite that cold last night. So if that were the case, the next morning I would come and lift 1 or 2 to let some airflow back through during the day. But we didn't have to do that last night, so we're gonna leave those alone. These waters are not quite a solid block of ice, but they're definitely slushy, and these little nipple areas get ice in there and they're really hard to clean out. And if this is blocks of ice, it's obviously not going to come through this tiny little spout here. So I just go ahead and replace the entire thing, bring these back into side by side in the garage so that they can thaw out completely. And if I need them again tomorrow morning, then I can just swap them out again. I really love these rent-a-coop waterers for our rabbits. They have been awesome. They don't leak. The gaskets stay pretty good and solid here on the bottom, and I think you can buy replacement ones if they do start to leak or break. But they can attach to the outside of their rabbit hutch so that all I have to do is come by, open the top of these, fill them with water, and technically never have to go into the rabbit hutch. I mean, I do for other things, but it just makes it very simple. I can just go through all of the hutches, open the lids, fill them up with water, close them, and that's it. Super easy, super simple. You guys. I'm about 5'1", so this is probably sitting at right around 5 feet. So 5 to 6 foot, somewhere in here, this little tiny clearing, and there's nothing to jump off of on the ground. Let me show you. See that? These crazy chickens. So I've been trying to do a really good job at collecting eggs in the evening so that they don't sit out overnight and get frozen. But when they're laying outside of the coop where I don't know the location, sometimes they can freeze and bust, but thankfully these are all in good condition, so we're gonna add these to our egg pile. And as far as this goes, I'm either gonna have to put some kind of wire to close this off so they can't get up there, or just put a little bit of hay and just let her continue to lay there and just collect from up here. So we'll have to figure that part out. Go ahead and get our mama rabbits fed and check on our babies. I know that's what everyone wants to see. Baby rabbits. Good morning. Oh, there's little babies. So Bo-Berry's litter has done really well. She's been a really good mama. They're nice and chubby, and they're putting on fur very quickly. It's amazing how quickly rabbits grow. Keeping them warm in really cold temperatures has been stressful. Not only has it been cold, we had a blowing rainstorm the night before last that wet all of our nests. It got them, hey, go away. She's mad that I got her eggs. So the hay was all damp, so I had to remove it all from the nest, including all of the mama's fur, which made me nervous because that's what really helps insulate and keep these babies warm. So what we did was took out all of the wet bedding and put in fresh hay. Then I took some sheep's wool that we had for crafting and stuff. We're doing some pressed wool art. So it's been carded and it's very soft, and it's a nice natural fiber. And I padded their little nesting area to make it nice and warm, kind of mimicking what the mama had already made before. And so far, her nest looks good, everybody looks good and warm this morning, so I'm hoping that the rest are the same way. I guess there's never going to be a quiet video here on the farm again. It's just Just is what it is. Figured out why everybody's freaking out. The guys to build the shop are here. If you're looking for an animal that lets you know when a stranger's on your property, get you some geese. They'll let you know when there's strangers or when there's not strangers, when there's something to worry about or when there's not something to worry about. They'll just let you know. She's got her berry. Good morning. So Domino's babies are tucked in really tight and warm because they are the smallest. So we're not going to disturb them too much. We're going to let them stay nice and toasty in their nest this morning and move on. So all of the animals are freaking out and going crazy because they started dropping off the shop pieces. So we're excited. We're excited to get that going.
Long time no see, y'all. It's cold out here this morning.
It is cold. You know it's cold whenever chickens are balking and you can see their breath.
Right.
So last but not least, our breeding stock, American breast pin, which are due for some feed in their feeder because the bottom has fallen off. So same thing with their water. They have a gravity water back there, 5-gallon capacity. So sometimes if it's cold enough, it will get frozen and I can just shake it and kind of break up the ice and let the water flow freely through it. If it's cold, then I will bring out a bowl and just replace that. One thing to keep in mind, if it is going to be freezing cold, sometimes your water spigots, or if you're on a well, the pumps can get frozen too, so make sure that you take that into account. I have had to carry 5-gallon buckets from my bathtub through the house and to the garage to water our animals at certain points because I didn't think about the spigots being frozen. Sometimes even if you leave them dripping, they will freeze just because they're on an outside wall. So a smart thing to do is go ahead and fill up your 5-gallon buckets at the spigot the day before it freezes and just keep them in your garage so that you can easily have some fresh water accessible for your animals so you're not trekking in and out of the house. So I have been working on cup training this flock here because we are getting ready to make some major changes to our chicken setup here. And these chickens will be free ranging here in a couple of weeks. So I want to make sure that they know the sound of a shaking cup. So if I need them to come back into the fence, to come in at night or what have you, they know the sound of the cup and they're gonna come running. So we've been working on that every morning and afternoon. I put a little bit of scratch or some kind of seed inside of my cup and I just shake it, and once they come over to me then I throw it to them so that they're getting that positive reinforcement. They know that the shaking of a cup is a good thing and that they should come running from wherever they are on the property. Oh, and we bought an RV. So the RV was not only an investment for our family's enjoyment, but we have decided to test it out on Outdoorsy, which is kind of like an Airbnb for RVs and campers. So our goal is to fix it up a little bit, use it ourselves when we want to, and also rent it out to others so that they can have a taste of the RV life. So it is kind of serving as a rental property on wheels for us. We will see how it goes and we will keep you guys updated on that. We'll probably give you guys a tour video here in the near future. It is super exciting to see them start the beginning of our meadow building project. We cannot wait to share that with you guys here in the near future. As far as my morning chores, that is all. Everybody is defrosted, has clean water, has fresh food, nice and toasty and warm. The sun is coming out. I think it's supposed to get up to like 50 degrees today, so not too terrible. But now that my rounds are complete, I am gonna go inside by the fireplace and have a nice warm cup of coffee, defrost my fingers, and get to work on something else, probably inside for a little bit. So thank you guys so much for joining me on this video. We appreciate you guys following along. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel, like the video, share the video. It really helps us out and we super appreciate it. And until the next video, we will see you guys later. Bye.